5 simple strategies to get control of your life and your schedule. But I want to start with strategy 1, and this is from my book, my second book. It's a very simple book, and the title is How to Earn Even More Money Working Fewer Hours in Real Estate. And it doesn't matter if this is real estate or no matter what you're doing, these 5 strategies I'm going to share right now are going to help you, and they're going to serve you no matter what business you're in or what industry you're in. And the first one is setting standards. So I want you to think about standards. In 2009, I had been in real estate since 2002. And, I was a top producer. I went into real estate. In the beginning, I loved it. And in 2009, I remember waking up one morning and realizing that the first thing I did when I woke up is got on my phone. The second my eyes opened, I was on my phone. I was dealing with text messages. I was dealing with emails. I was dealing with everything that everybody else was throwing at me. And it was the last thing I did at the same time. At 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m., the last thing I did before I went to bed was I was on that phone. I was a straight out servant to anybody who needed my attention, any client. Now listen, when I looked at the amount of time and energy I was putting into it, and when I looked at my life and the stress and how I didn't even enjoy it anymore, I was starting to hate the thing that I once loved. It was bringing me frustration because my life was consumed from the second I opened my eyes until the second I went to bed. And then somebody came into my life. His name was John Alexandrov. Ended up being my first business coach. John changed my life. And one of the first things we did when I hired him, and trust me, I did not hire coaches back then. I did not understand the value of a coach. I did not understand the value of investing that kind of money into myself. Nobody taught me that. I was a grinder. I made it happen. I became a top agent by grinding, working all those hours, 80 hours a week, 70 to 80 hours a week I worked. And like I said, I showed up in a place where I just was frustrated with myself, with my business. John came into my life. He says, the first thing we need to fix, David, is you need to set some standards. I was like, all right, well, tell me more. So well, first off, I had to write the check. The check back then was $17,000, which I wrote because I was in so much pain. I didn't know what else to do. So I wrote the check. And then he said, first thing we need to set some standards. So what are standards? The first standard I had to set was standards on when I was going to be available, okay? Like when I would work, what time. And this is still a standard today, folks. I do not check emails before 9 a.m., okay? So clients know that. I don't check emails. As a matter of fact, 6 p.m., I am off the clock. Weekends, same thing. Now, these are some standards I set. I'm not telling you have to set the same standards as I did, but these were standards that worked for me. I made a decision on weekends. On Saturday mornings, I would not do anything real estate related. I just dropped it before 11 a.m. and after 5 p.m. On Sundays, same thing. I would not do anything real estate related until before 11 a.m. or after 5 p.m. I set those standards for myself, which was the beginning of the change that I made. It's number 1, standards are what you set on the inside. All right, number 2 now, setting expectations. So my standards are set. I set standards for myself. This is what time I'm going to be available to clients. This is what time I'm going to work. This is what time I'm going to check my emails. This is what time I'm shutting down, everything. Now, next is setting expectations. Setting the expectations now are taking my standards and on the outside, setting them with the clients. So now when I'm meeting with people, here's how we do business. Here's what you can expect from me. Okay, I want to know what I can expect from them too. It's not a one-way thing, but I'm just letting them know, here's what you can expect. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do open houses. Right now, I train and coach. Here's what you can expect from me. Okay, if you need this, text me. If it's super critical, call me and I will call you back at a certain time. I've set expectations now when I'm going into business with people so they know exactly what to expect, because one of the biggest challenges I experienced in the past was I didn't set expectations. And then there were clients that at 9 o'clock at night would expect me to answer the phone because other real estate agents did that and think that I am supposed to take their calls all hours of the day. So setting those expectations up front is critical. So what I did is now if you go to my website, you'll see all of our expectations are right on the website. This is what we give you and this is what you can expect. And if I can help you with something and you really need my help, then by all means, everybody I work with has my cell phone number. And if they're walking into a listing appointment and I can jump on a phone call with them, I will help them. I promise you that. So number 1, standards on the inside, expectations on the outside. Number 3, okay? This is critical. You've set your standards, you've set your expectations, and now you need to determine your hourly rate. Now, and I'm going to go back to the story I was sharing earlier, how this amazing person offered me $10,000 a month to work with their team in 2 hours a day. Unfortunately, that just doesn't fit with my hourly rate. So we can talk, we can see if we can fix that. But here's what I learned over the years. Years ago, in 2018, I was hired by Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams Realty, as a consultant, and I cold called independent brokerages. A lot of people don't know this about me. I cold called independent brokerages and set up meetings for Gary Keller to meet with the owners of indie brokerages around the country. And when I got that call, I was like, man, wow, that's freaking amazing. And it was humbling. It was an honor. And Jason is the guy who told me about it. He said, it'll be an hour a day. That's it. 1 hour a day. That's freaking awesome. Here's the challenge. It went from 1 hour a day to 2 hours a day to 3 hours a day to all of a sudden now I have pretty much a full-time job now that's taking away from my business. So now I learned from that lesson. So now when I got this call yesterday, I got to really be careful what I make a commitment to. And I got to say, is this in alignment with my standards? Is this in alignment with my expectations? Now, if he said, hey, I got a role for you, it's going to pay you $800 an hour, 2 hours a day guaranteed, and this is what you get at the, now we're talking. Right now, that fits more with the standards and the expectations I set for myself. Now, I'm not telling you what to set for yourself. I'm telling you what I set for myself. All right, so that's number 3. Number 1, standards. Number 2, expectations. Number 3, determine hourly rate. How did I figure this out, my friends? You probably think, well, how did David figure out his hourly rate? And I can share a worksheet with you that can show you. It's not complicated. It's not an exact science, but basically look at how much money you made last year and then try to figure out approximately how many hours you worked, a week. Divide that by about how many weeks you worked. A year that you worked. So I don't know, most people take a couple weeks off, vacations, whatever. So let's say you worked 50 weeks, you worked 70 hours a week like I was. Then you can take the hourly rate and divide that and you know exactly what you're making per hour. So here's how I learned. I was at a mastermind with John Alexandrov. He had a workshop where we all got together, a lot of top producers, agents that were doing similar to me. And what we realized was when we all figured out our hourly rate, there were other people that were doing the same amount of business as me, but they were making 3 times as much money because of the amount of time and energy they were putting into the business because of the systems. So I really challenge every one of you in this room right now listening to work on that rate. Figure out first off, what is it? And then figure out, what do I need it to be and how do I get it? Number 4, we need to make that commitment. Once we've determined the hourly rate, we need to make a commitment to ourselves. I am not going to do anything less than my hourly rate. I refuse to. Going back to the real estate time, doing my own paperwork, taking pictures of houses, doing MLS sheets, putting in signs, all that stuff. Even now, like right now, I've got somebody that I hired. She does all the funnel stuff, all of our funnels, email campaigns. It's amazing. It's a gift. We're just dealing with a lot of growing pains, which is awesome. So I find myself wanting to jump back in and start fixing stuff. And then I have to say no, because beyond the fact that when I go and fix stuff, usually it's not fixed because I'm not, I'm just not super detail oriented. So I have to give that stuff to her. But here's a couple other examples. Back in 2010, I remember I was mowing my lawn myself. And this might be a little thing. If you like mowing your lawn, fantastic. Don't continue mowing your lawn. But for me, what I realized, it was taking me about 3 hours on a Saturday, every other Saturday, to mow my lawn. And I was like, man, this is, I get up, I do my thing, and around, 10, 11 o'clock, I'd mow my lawn, and, you finish, half the day's gone. And I was doing that every other weekend. And then I realized that for $35 twice a month, that means for $70, I could get 6 hours of my time back. I was like damn, like the bell went off. Here's another one, cleaning the pool, getting your pool ready. Our pool needs to get open soon. I'm just going to hire somebody to go do that. And at the same time they're doing that, what am I going to do? I'm going to go upstairs while they're opening my pool, right? Because I could open my pool and save, a couple $100. And, whatever it takes, 3-4 hours to do it. But the problem is, I could be making a lot more money. Is that $800 an hour work? I could be upstairs making calls in my office, talking to people, talking to potential clients. So the challenge is, I don't realize this, but as I'm cleaning out my pool to save $250, I'm now working for $75 an hour. But not only am I working for $7,500 an hour, guys, I am losing $720 an hour by doing that. That's how I needed to start thinking. Like, this is costing me money. Right, there's so many examples of that. Okay, sending out postcards. Someone was talking about that earlier. Like, I'm going to order postcards and I'm going to have them sent to my house and I'm going to have my kids, put them all and put the envelopes on and do this and do that. I'm like, don't even do that. Just order postcards and have the company send them out. That's what they do. They have a service that does that. And she was like, well, that's pretty expensive. I mean, what about the amount of time and energy you have to put into that? Number 5, build a time block calendar. This is something I learned from Gary Keller. Really, really talking about time blocking. I'm a trainer for the book. The book's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's a phenomenal book. And they talk a lot about time blocking in there. And that's creating blocks of time that you're going to work on your top priorities. So everybody's familiar with the 80-20 principle, right? With 80-20 principle, 20% of what we do is determines 80% of the results, right? So everything's not equal. Okay, so if I put 20%, there's a 20% and then there's an 80%, right? So I got to focus on the most priority, highest income producing, best use of my time things. That's the 20%. The 80% has to be given out to someone else. There's an old saying I learned from Gary. He says, if you hire an assistant, I want you to write this down. This is worth writing down. This is something I learned. When you hire a really great assistant or an administrator or an executive assistant, whatever you want to call it, your 80% becomes their 20%. Think about that. You hire a rock star, that's what you call taking it to the next level. So we need to learn how to time block. Here's what I would tell you to do. Every morning, look at your calendar, and I want you to figure out, okay, what are my 20% activities? I know for me, it's demos, it's on the phone with potential clients, it's teaching. That's my 20%. So every day I have time block. I have 2 time blocks in my calendar, and they're both for making calls. They're 90-minute blocks. That's it, 90 minutes. Doesn't need to be more than that. I use a sand timer. I bought this timer. It doesn't need to be more than that. 90 minutes twice a day. That's 3 hours a day. Figure out how to invest 3 hours a day into your top priorities, and you will see your business blow up. I promise you, it'll blow up. And let's just say, and I don't want you to start there, because let's say you're not doing any committed time blocks right now. It's going to be hard to go to 3 hours. So here's what I would encourage you to do. Instead of going 90-minute blocks, start off with 2 30-minute blocks. And once you got those 2 30-minute blocks going on a regular basis, then let's up that to maybe a 45-minute block. That's what I'm going to challenge you. So I'm going to go through the 5 things real quick. Number 1 is standards on the inside for me, expectations on the outside for you, for my clients. Number 3, determine hourly rate. I need to know what my hourly rate is. Number 4, I need to make that commitment. Never do anything below my hourly rate. I refuse to. Refuse. I cannot do that. Number 5, create a time block calendar and then stick with it.